In the far reaches of the galaxy, on a glowing blue moon orbiting a twin-star system, there lived a princess named Leora. She was the only daughter of the High Empress of the Zalari Empire, known across the stars for their technology, beauty, and power. Leora was not only admired for her elegance and intelligence, but also for her curiosity, something rare among the royal class. As a child, Leora often asked questions that others ignored. She didn't just want to wear silk robes and sit on golden thrones. She wanted to learn about the stars, the planets, the lost civilizations, and the mysteries of the past. Among all the stories she heard growing up, one tale stood out the most: the myth of the human warrior. Her royal tutors told her it was just that, a myth, a made-up story told to children. They were wild beings, one teacher had said, from a small green planet called Earth, brutal and bold. They did not fear death, but they are gone now, burned away by their own foolishness. But Leora remembered the details that others forgot. How humans were said to have hearts full of fire, voices that roared like thunder, and eyes that saw through lies. They were warriors, protectors, and explorers. Some stories even said they could survive on any planet, breathe strange air, and fight with only their hands. To most Zalari nobles, it was a bedtime joke. But to Leora, it was always something more. One bright morning, Princess Leora prepared for a diplomatic journey to a border system. She was to visit a neutral moon where several minor species were trying to join the Empire. It was supposed to be a quiet mission, her mother warned her. Stay on course. Say little, show power. But Leora, as usual, had other plans. She loaded her cruiser with not only guards and servants, but also exploration gear, data tablets, and maps. She wanted to scan planets on the way, especially a strange green one that was marked unclaimed, dangerous, avoid. I'll just take a closer look, she said to herself, smiling, but fate had its own path. Halfway through the journey, her ship picked up an unexpected signal. It was faint, old, and human-coded. That shocked her crew. Human-coded signals were not supposed to exist anymore. Shall we investigate? Asked the captain. Yes, she said quickly. Take us closer. They dropped out of hyperspeed near the edge of a star system filled with dust clouds and one lonely planet with thick forests and stormy clouds. The signal was coming from the surface. Then, suddenly, attack. Two unknown fighter ships broke out from the dust clouds and fired at her cruiser. The crew tried to fight back, but the ship wasn't built for war. Leora made a decision that shocked everyone. Launch the escape pod. I'll go down and hide. They're after me, not the crew. No, Princess, the captain began. Do it. With that, she sealed herself inside a silver pod and fired it toward the green planet. She watched through the tiny window as her cruiser burned behind her. The pod crashed in a dense jungle. Trees towered above her. Strange bird-like creatures flew past. Smoke rose from the broken engine. Leora grabbed a small pack loaded with a scanning tool and an energy knife, and stepped out. She was alone. The air was humid but breathable. She scanned for life. Nothing close, at least for now. Her training helped her stay calm. She moved carefully, her long dress caught on branches, her boots sinking into soft mud. She found shelter in a hollowed tree. Night came quickly. The sky turned deep purple, stars blinking above. The air filled with strange sounds, clicks, howls, and rustling. That's when she heard the heavy footsteps. At first, she thought it was a wild animal. She raised her knife and scanned the shadows. A figure appeared between the trees. Tall, broad, wearing strange armor pieces that looked handmade. A long weapon was strapped to his back and his arms were scarred. His face was partly hidden by a hood, but his eyes glowed in the firelight he carried. Leora froze. The stories whispered in her mind. Was this? The figure stepped closer, then stopped a few meters away. He looked at her, not like a predator, not like a servant, but like someone surprised. You're not from here, he said in a deep voice, and definitely not one of them. She stared at him. You're human? He chuckled once, bitterly. Haven't heard that question in years. She dropped her weapon slightly. You're real. Humans are real, He looked confused for a moment, then nodded. So are Zalari princesses, apparently. She stepped forward slowly. My name is Leora. I crash-landed here. My ship was attacked. Please, I need help. The man didn't move for a moment, then he turned. Follow me. This place isn't safe after sunset. And just like that, the myth stepped into the shadows, and the princes followed Dot as they walked through. The jungle, Leora asked questions. The man's name was Cole. He said he was from a colony that broke off from Earth hundreds of years ago. He had been living on this planet for a long time alone. How did you survive? She asked. I learned, he said simply. This world teaches fast or kills. He led her to a hidden cave behind a waterfall. Inside, it was dry, clean, and filled with tools, food packs, and simple machines. It wasn't fancy, but it was safe. She sat near the small fire, watching him prepare food using herbs and roots. You really are human, she said softly. Cole looked at her, not smiling, not frowning, just serious. And you really are curious. She nodded. They told me your kind were myths, that you were extinct. But you're stronger than any being I've seen. He shook his head. We're just survivors. Same as anyone. No, she whispered, staring at him with wonder. You're something else. Cole didn't respond. He just passed her a plate of hot food and sat across the fire, watching the entrance with sharp eyes. Outside, the jungle whispered. But inside that cave, a forgotten tale was being rewritten. Princess Leora had grown up in golden halls, surrounded by soft music, clean air, and perfect safety. But now she was sitting on a rock in a dark forest cave, eating roasted roots beside a human something her people said didn't even exist. Cole, the human warrior, moved with strength. His arms were scarred, his voice deep, and his eyes always alert. He didn't talk much, but every move he made showed discipline and awareness. Leora, used to formal dinners and robotic servants, now found herself thankful for wild herbs and cave water. Still, her mind was full of questions. Why are you here? She asked quietly, breaking the silence. Cole glanced up. I crashed here years ago. My ship was shot down. No one came looking, so I stayed alive, Leora frowned. You mean your people just left you? He shrugged. Most of them were already gone. Earth's last colonies broke apart a long time ago. Some disappeared. Others were hunted. I survived. His words were simple, but Leora felt the pain beneath them. She saw it in his eyes, the kind of sadness that never fully fades. She suddenly realized something. He wasn't just strong. He was lonely. Why didn't you send a signal? She asked. I tried, but this planet blocks most transmissions. Besides, I stopped hoping a long time ago. Leora didn't know what to say. Her people had ships that could cross galaxies in hours. They had the power to heal wounds in minutes. But here was a man, surviving alone for years, using only his skills and will. I think you're stronger than any Zalari soldier I've met, she said. Cole didn't respond. He simply threw more wood into the fire. The next morning, they started walking. Cole said it wasn't safe to stay in one place too long. There are things out there that hunt by smell, he explained. And now that you've come from the sky, more will be looking. You mean the ones who attacked my ship? She asked. He nodded. I saw the explosion from the mountain. They're not locals. Mercenaries, maybe, bounty hunters. Someone powerful wants you gone, Leora shivered. But why? You're a princess, you tell me. She didn't answer. She had a feeling. Her presence in this system had triggered something far bigger than she expected. Maybe someone in the Empire didn't want peace talks. Maybe someone feared what she would discover. As they walked through the dense forest, she noticed how Cole moved like an animal that belonged there. He stepped quietly, avoided dry branches, and watched the skies as if expecting danger at any moment. Have you always lived like this? She asked. Not always, he said, but long enough. He stopped near a wide river and pointed at the footprints near the water's edge. See that? He said. 3-toed, heavy steps. That thing hunts at night. We'll sleep in the trees tonight. In the trees? She asked, shocked. He just nodded. Later, she watched in awe as he climbed a tall tree with ropes and tools, setting up a simple hammock high above the ground. He made another for her, securing it with knots and hooks. When night came, they lay in silence among the branches. Below, glowing eyes moved through the forest. Strange howls echoed in the dark, and shadows passed by the trees. Leora whispered, "Aren't you scared?" "Always," Cole replied. "That's how I stay alive." She looked up at the stars. "I used to think fear made you weak." Cole turned his head slightly. "Fear reminds you that you're not invincible. It makes you smart, quiet, ready," she smiled. "You sound like a general." "I'm just a soldier who didn't die," he replied. The next day they reached the edge of a rocky canyon. On the other side, Cole said, was a hidden shelter, an old structure buried under stone and vines, left behind by an ancient species. He had been living there before moving to the cave, but it's far, he said. "We'll need to move fast." As they climbed down, the sound of engines echoed above them. "Ships," Leora whispered. Cole pushed her behind a rock. "They've found us." 2 black drones flew overhead, scanning the ground with red beams. Cole quickly pulled out a strange device, a round mirror with wires. He held it up. The beams passed over them but didn't detect a thing. "What is that?" she asked in surprise. "Old human tech? Makes us invisible to scans if we stay still." The drones moved on. But Cole looked tense. "They're scouting. Ground teams will follow." They crossed the canyon quickly. Leora struggled on the rocks, but Cole helped her climb, never leaving her behind. At the shelter, he opened a heavy door hidden under stones. Inside, the space was tight but strong. There were metal walls, solar lamps, and a water filter. It wasn't royal, but to Leora, it felt like a castle. "We'll stay here for now," Cole said. "But they won't stop." Leora sat on the bench and looked at him. "Why are you helping me?" He blinked once. "Because you're not the enemy, that's all." He turned away. "And maybe I don't want to be alone anymore." Her heart ached. She reached out and placed her hand gently over his. "You're not alone now." That night, they heard movement near the canyon. Cole checked the cameras he had hidden along the path. Mercenaries in armor, armed and scanning the ground. They were coming closer. Cole began setting traps. He used wire, smoke bombs, noise decoys, and sharpened poles. Leora helped, learning quickly. For the first time, she wasn't just a princess, she was part of the fight. As the sky darkened, Cole looked at her and said, "You may have to run again?" She shook her head. "No, I'll stay. I want to learn. I want to fight." He stared at her for a moment, then nodded. "Then we fight together." And so the myth and the princess stood side by side, preparing for war. The wind howled through the canyon, carrying dust and leaves. Inside the ancient shelter, Princess Leora and Cole sat near the entrance, watching the flickering screens of the small surveillance device he had set up earlier. The black and white images showed armored figures moving through the trees. They were heavily armed, scanning the area, following the path that led straight to them. "They're getting close," Cole said, eyes locked on the screen. Leora leaned in. "Can they find us?" "Not yet," Cole answered. "But if we stay here, they will. We need to lead them away from this place." He stood and grabbed his worn-out gear, makeshift armor plates, utility belt, and his crafted weapon, a long metal spear with an energy edge. "You've done this before," Leora said softly, watching him. "Too many times," Cole replied, strapping on his boots. Leora wanted to help, not just sit and watch. "Tell me what to do." Cole paused. He studied her, the royal princess who had walked barefoot in the mud, climbed trees, and slept on branches. Now she was standing tall, her eyes steady. "All right," he said. "You'll help me set the decoys. We'll trick them into following the wrong trail." They moved quickly. Cole handed her small devices that looked like flat stones. "Place these on the trees," he instructed. "When they activate, they'll project heat signatures and false movement. They'll think we're heading east." Leora nodded and got to work. Her hands shook at first, but she forced herself to stay calm. She placed the devices exactly where he told her. An hour later, the forest was full of blinking lights and artificial sounds. Cole returned to the shelter and activated the system. "They'll chase ghosts," he said, satisfied. It should give us at least 2 days. Leora looked at the map. Where will we go? Cole pointed to a mountain range on the edge of the map. There's an old mining station in those hills. Hidden, strong walls, solar power, we can regroup there. Leora took a deep breath. Let's go. They traveled through the forest with care. Cole checked every step, every sound. Leora followed close behind. Though tired, she refused to slow down. The fear of being caught was real now. These mercenaries weren't here to talk. They were hunters. As they crossed a stream, Leora spotted a broken drone floating in the water. She picked it up and examined it. This is advanced tech, she said. Zellari design, but not used by the Empire anymore. It's black market, Cole frowned. So someone from your world is behind this? Or someone with access to our tech, she answered. I need to report this to the Empress, Cole didn't respond. He was staring at the sky. What is it? She asked. He pointed. Above the trees, a faint red dot moved slowly. Satellite, he said. They're scanning from orbit. Leora tensed. Then time is running out. They moved faster. By sunset, they reached a rocky ridge. Cole helped Leora climb the last steep slope. As they reached the top, the view made her stop. The mining station lay below them, built into the mountainside. It looked abandoned, covered in vines and dust. But its structure was strong, hidden well by the natural rocks around it. This is where you used to stay? She asked. Years ago, Cole said. It still works. I fixed the solar panels. They entered the station through a narrow side tunnel. Inside, it was cool and dark. Cole turned on a power switch. Old lights flickered to life, revealing a wide room with metal walls, storage crates, and a control panel. This is perfect, Leora said, amazed. You did all this alone? Cole nodded. I had to. They began to settle in. Leora activated a communication console, hoping to reach someone from the Empire. Static, no signal. The jammers are stronger than I thought. She said, they don't want anyone calling for help, Cole replied. Just then, an alert flashed on the screen. Motion detected near the outer wall. Cole stood up immediately. They found us. Leora's heart raced. What do? We fight. Night fell quickly. The mining station's outer cameras showed figures moving through the trees again. Cole handed Leora a small pulse pistol. Stay behind cover. Don't waste energy shots. Aim carefully. Leora took the weapon with steady hands. She had trained before mostly for ceremony. But this was different. This was real. The first explosion hit the main gate. Cole activated defense turrets he had hidden in the walls. They opened fire, sending bursts of energy into the night. Screams echoed. More enemies rushed forward. Leora stayed low, firing only when she had a clear shot. One soldier climbed the rocks and tried to enter through the side. She hit the trigger. Direct hit. He fell back. Cole was everywhere, moving fast, striking hard. He fought with the focus of a trained warrior, but the wildness of someone with nothing left to lose. An enemy tried to corner him. Cole grabbed a spear, dodged the strike, and threw it right into the attacker's chest. They're retreating, Leora shouted. Cole didn't relax. No, they're regrouping. She looked around at the smoke, the broken pieces of armor on the ground, and the red lights blinking in the sky above. They won't stop, will they? She asked. No, he said, not until you're captured. Or dead. She stepped closer. Then we stop them first. Cole looked at her, no longer a helpless royal, but a brave, determined woman. We'll need help. I have an idea, she said. But it's risky. They spent the next day rebuilding the Comes array. Leora remembered a hidden code, an old diplomatic frequency used only by royal family members in emergencies. If I send a signal through this, she explained, it will bypass jammers. But the power source must be strong. Cole hooked the Comes array into the solar generator. Let's try it. The screen blinked. The signal bar rose. Leora typed a message quickly. This is Princess Leora of the Zellari Empire. I am under attack on planet Viren 9. Request urgent extraction. Threat is internal. Coordinates attached. Urgent. She pressed send. Silence. Then dash signal sent. She turned to Cole. Now we wait. Cole nodded, then sat beside her. If they don't come, she smiled. Then we make sure we're remembered. That night, Cole handed her a new blade crafted from metal and shaped like the ones humans used in old times. You've earned it, he said. Leora held the blade, feeling its weight. Thank you, warrior. He looked at her for a long moment. You don't need to call me that, but you are, she said. A real human warrior, not a myth. And in that moment, both of them knew whatever came next, they would face it together. The forest was quiet, too quiet. Inside the old mining station, Cole stood by the main console, checking the motion sensors. The display showed red dots surrounding the hill. The enemy had returned, and this time they brought more than drones. Heavily armored troops moved in careful patterns, slowly closing in. They're circling us, he said without turning. Leora stood at the window, holding the blade Cole had given her. Her face was calm, but her heart was beating fast. They want to trap us, Cole nodded. They'll hit from all sides. Leora looked at him. You've faced worse, haven't you? He gave a small smile. Yes, but I've never had someone to protect before. That made her pause. She stepped closer to him. You're not alone anymore. He looked into her eyes. Neither are you. They had only hours before the enemy attacked. Together, they worked in silence. Cole checked every trap, every turret, every power cell. Leora recharged the CUM device in case help arrived. She placed signal flares by the edge of the rocks. If Solari ships came, they'd need something to guide them in, but she wasn't counting on rescue anymore. She had made peace with what she might have to do. As night approached, the sky turned deep orange. The stars above blinked like silent watchers. Leora sat beside Cole, near a small fire inside the station. You never told me about Earth, she said softly. Cole stared into the fire. It's gone now. But it used to be beautiful blue skies, green fields, oceans that stretched forever. People there, they were loud, brave, and full of fire, always chasing something. Even when the galaxy said we didn't belong, we kept fighting. Leora listened carefully. Why do you think your people disappeared? He shrugged. Some say we were wiped out. Some say we scattered, but I think we were never meant to. The deep part of someone else's empire. We were meant to walk our own path. She placed her hand gently on his. You're the last warrior of your kind. I don't want to be the last, he said quietly. She looked at the stars. Maybe you're the first of a new beginning. An alarm blared. Red lights flashed. The enemy was on the move. Cole jumped to his feet. They're coming. Leora followed him to the control room. The sensors showed at least 20 enemy fighters. Armed, armored, and moving fast. They're focusing on the west gate, Cole said. They think it's the weakest. It is, Leora reminded him. That's why I put the strongest trap there, he replied, smirking. She almost laughed. But the moment passed quickly. They moved into positions. The first explosion rocked the ground. Cole grabbed his pulse rifle and ran toward the gate. Leora followed, her blade ready. Smoke filled the air. Red energy blasts flew across the rocky field. Cole rolled behind a barrier and fired back. His shots were clean and accurate, knocking 2 enemies down in seconds. Leora ducked behind a crate and used her training. She moved swiftly, using the terrain for cover, and struck when needed. She wasn't a royal anymore, she was a fighter now. The traps activated hidden spikes, smoke bombs, and noisemakers that disoriented the attackers, but more kept coming. Cole was bleeding from his arm, but he kept fighting. Leora saw him surrounded and ran toward him. Get back, he shouted. No, she yelled, slashing an enemy that tried to grab her. Together, they stood back to back, fighting as one. After what felt like hours, the enemy finally pulled back. Silence returned. Smoke hung in the air. The ground was filled with sparks and fallen weapons. Cole leaned against a wall, panting. We're still here, Leora smiled weakly. We didn't lose. He looked at her, pride in his eyes. You fought like a warrior. I learned from the best, she said. Suddenly, a deep rumble filled the air. A larger shadow fell over the station. A ship, not an enemy one. This one was clean, silver, and glowing with blue engines. Zalari symbols were on its wings. They came, Leora whispered. The royal guard ship landed just outside the mountain station. A squad of armored soldiers ran out, scanning the area and pointing their weapons, but stopped when they saw Leora and Cole step forward. A tall Zalari officer approached. "Princess!" "Are you hurt?" Leora held her chin high. "I'm fine. But I have much to report." The officer bowed. "We've received your message. The Empress sent us as soon as it came through. We feared the worst." Leora looked at Cole, then back at the soldiers. "This man saved my life. He protected me when no one else could. Treat him with honor." The officer looked at Cole with curiosity. "He's human?" Cole didn't speak. He simply nodded. The soldiers stared at him in disbelief. One of them whispered, "I thought they were just stories." "No," Leora said. "They are real, and he is proof." Back aboard the ship, Leora stood by a window, watching the planet grow smaller. She had changed. The palace would feel different now. The faces, the rules, the empty words of the court, none of that mattered as much anymore. Cole stood beside her, cleaned up but still in his rugged clothes. He looked uncomfortable in the polished ship. "You don't have to return to that place." He said, "I do," she replied. "But I won't forget what I learned down there." He looked at her. "And what will you do now?" She turned to him. "I'll tell the galaxy that humans exist. That you are not myths. That courage can still be found in the most unexpected places." Cole stayed silent. She smiled gently. "You'll come with me, won't you?" He paused, then said, "I don't belong in thrones and halls." "No," she said. "But I don't belong in silence and gold. Maybe we create something new." Together, he gave a small nod. "All right, princess." "Just Leora," she whispered. And for the first time in a long while, Cole smiled. The royal palace of the Zalari Empire shimmered like a crystal in the sky. Tall spires reached toward the stars, and shining courtyards reflected the two suns of the capital world. Yet for Princess Leora, everything now felt distant, cold even. Though she was finally back home, she walked through the familiar marble halls, but her mind was still in the forest, inside the cave, beside the fire, hearing Cole speak of Earth and survival. She remembered the way he moved, the way he fought, and how he looked at her not as a princess, but as a person. Now, she was back in a world of robes, masks, and politics. And he was here too, walking silently behind her. Cole had been given guest robes, cleaned up and escorted with honor. But he didn't belong here, and everyone knew it. Noble eyes watched him with curiosity and doubt. Whispers followed them wherever they walked. "Is that truly a human? He looks like a wild thing. What is the princess thinking?" Leora ignored them all. In the grand hall, the empress sat on her golden throne, surrounded by high council members and royal guards. Her eyes were sharp, full of strength and wisdom. When Leora entered, the hall fell silent. "My daughter," the empress sighed, standing slowly. "You returned from the edge of danger, and for that we thank the stars. Tell us your story." Leora stepped forward and bowed. "I was attacked on a mission of peace. Someone within our reach sent mercenaries to silence me." Gasps echoed. "In the chamber, and how did you survive?" One noble asked. Leora turned and nodded to Cole. He stepped forward. "I survived," she said clearly, "because this man saved me. He is a human, a warrior, a protector." The empress narrowed her eyes. "A human? But they are extinct." Leora looked at her mother, bold and unafraid. "We were wrong. He is real. His name is Cole. He lived alone on a hostile world, fought off enemies, and defended your daughter when no one else could." The court murmured again. Some were shocked. Some were doubtful. Some looked angry. The empress remained quiet, then asked Cole, "Is this true?" Cole simply replied, "Yes, your majesty." "And why did you save her?" the empress asked. Cole looked at Leora, then answered, "Because no one else did. And because she didn't treat me like a story." That answer silenced everyone. Later, in her private chambers, Leora stood beside Cole as the sun dipped low in the sky. The warm orange light touched the balcony. "You don't have to stay," she told him softly. "You've already done more than anyone expected." Cole leaned. On the railing, I don't care about palaces or titles. But if you ask me to stay, I will. She turned toward him. And if I ask you to leave? He smiled slightly. Then I'll go, but I'll never forget you. Leora stepped closer. You told me humans always chase something. What are you chasing now? He met her gaze. Something. Real. Her breath caught for a moment. The world outside faded. She knew what she had to do. The next day, the Empire held a grand gathering in the main plaza. Citizens and nobles alike came to see the princess who survived, and the human who stood beside her. News of Cole had spread fast. Some cheered him. Others watched in silence. Leora stood at the front, wearing simple royal robes, not the heavy ones. She raised her voice so all could hear. My people, she said, I bring you truth. The human race is not gone. They live, maybe hidden, maybe forgotten, but they are not extinct. Have I met one, a warrior, a friend? She reached out and took Cole's hand. The crowd gasped. He saved me, she said, and showed me the meaning of courage. I will not let fear or pride silence this truth. One of the council members stepped forward. Princess, you speak from emotion. You forget your duty. Leora faced him. My duty is to truth, my duty is to life. And my duty is to lead with my heart, not just tradition. Another council voice rose. Will you marry a human then? Will you bring an outsider into the bloodline? Leora didn't blink. If that is what it takes to bring change, then yes. The Empress stood slowly. All eyes turned to her. The silence stretched. Then she spoke. Let the galaxy hear it. We do not fear truth. We do not turn away from those who show honor. She walked down the steps and stood before Cole. You have earned my respect, human. But my daughter's heart is her own. Then she turned to Leora. Make your choice. Leora looked at Cole, his calm eyes, his worn face, his quiet strength. She took his hand again, and in front of the entire empire, she said, I choose him. That night, the palace glowed with gentle lights. There was no royal feast, no loud celebration. Just a quiet dinner in the garden, under the stars. Leora and Cole sat together, away from the eyes of the world. He looked at her. Are you sure about this? She nodded. You walked into my life like a shadow from legend, but you stayed, bled, and fought beside me. I don't want a prince. I want a partner. He smiled. Then I'll walk wherever you lead. They sat in silence, watching the stars move across the sky. Far above, ships traveled between worlds. Borders changed. Stories grew. And among them, one story spread across the galaxy, the tale of a forgotten warrior and the princes who chose him, not because of his strength, not because of his legend, but because he reminded her what it truly meant to be alive.